Right, hold on. How are you doing, people? So, I've been out again this afternoon, setting up some practical experiments. So what I'm going to do is I've just put all the aspects of today's events and put it onto a video. So again, I'm just going to screen share, and I'm going to play through certain parts here, and I'm going to pause, obviously, and speak and stuff like that. So, we'll have a look. I don't know if I should show this now. We'll have a look at these clowns afterwards, once I've shown what actually happens. So first and foremost, hang on a wee second here. The reason that I'm going to continue to do these things is because we have sophists who continually try and deceive people. Again, for anybody that doesn't know, sophistry, the use of clever but false arguments, especially with the intention of deceiving. So, you know, argumentation can come in many forms, whether it be language or people trying to show you images, using the language to convince you of things that are just not true. Okay, so let me just see here. In fact, I'm going to make a wee quick smoke. I'll make a quick smoke and then I'll get to this. I'll just say a wee hello to people. How you all doing? Luke Marshall, Bill Lowell, Mr. Golden V, Flat World Logic. You can print these t-shirts yourself. Squirrel Sniper, Robert Matthews, Luke Marshall, Brandon Cook, Rob Kin, Pragmatic, Andrew Calvert, Andy Bordwick, John McDermott, Stephen Watson, Dean Wright, how you doing? West Coast Wisdom, how you doing? Robert Matthews, Chris Hayes, Midnight Garden, Nicholas, Sandy123, Chris Hayes, Anonymous, UK Pie, Midnight Gardener, Steve HV, how you doing? Nice one. Put something tasty. Here, Nida, Daniel Reed, Chris Simpson, how you doing? Tony T, Expander, Doogie, me, you, from Swinburne, how's it going? Somebody local. Mr. Lowry, Parish Mike, Mile High Scribs. So, I'm just going to roll this and I'm going to get right into this. So I'll show this. Then I'm going to show the deception again that this dishonest zealotry from the Globe cult continually tries to perpetuate. Now, they've been rumbled, but they continue. So I'm going to do this, focus on it here again, just to make the point abundantly clear for everybody. I'm also going to start on the other live channel. I'm going to be putting aspects up of homeschooling on the other live channel. But first and foremost, what I want to do is I've been thinking of a kind of diary, if you like, for my kids. And what I want to do is just, you know, lay out my life story for my kids. And through some of the things that I'm going to speak about, it's going to throw up topics of discussion that I want to focus in on. So I'm going to be doing that in the very near future. Again, I'm just going to be laying all my cards on the table. As I say, people are free to watch it and maybe learn or relate to things. It's just going to be an honest representation of my life so far. And I want it to be there and documented for my kids. So, you know, if I'm not about as they get older, they can have a listen or playback and, you know, maybe relate to some of the things they're experiencing. You know, I'd like to think that, you know, we're going to find out some real big truths about our reality before I shuffle off. But I'm just going to make this, as I say, because it brings up areas of discussion, the different processes that I've went through in my life, and how I've became the way I am to this very day. And as I say, there's not going to be any, you know, beating about the bush. It's just going to be an honest representation. So anyway, that's for future. Right now, let me just get to this. needing. What I'm doing here today, so I'm just I'll be playing through this, showing you what I've been doing with the help of Magumba and Neil. So hopefully everybody hears this okay and it comes across fine. So as I say, I just flung all this in a video to get it uploaded. And it's just a jumble, so I'm going to skip through bits just to make the points clear and show you what's actually going on. I'm going to be setting up a water leveling device, various sticks. I'm going to make sure the first ones are all the same height, and I'm going to put one further along, you know, double the height if possible, and we're going to have a wee look at perspective. So we're going to see how a water leveling device works again. Water always finds level. It can be used to accurately level anything and build anything. As you can see right now, you know, these goalposts look below my eye line, although in reality they are much taller. But we'll have a look at them once I've set this up. Okay, so what I've done is I've got a 10-metre tube, and I've used coolant, engine coolant for a car, radiator coolant. There's two reasons why you can use, you know, a coloured coolant. Obviously because you can see it clearer, and obviously we're working in cold conditions, so you know there's going to be an effect on the water. Again, we can get into discussing that. You know, water will contract and expand with temperature, which we could look at as a possibility for explanations of tides, or if you want an explanation. Personally, you know, I think we need the exploration in order to find out fully, but we have various explanations of the possibility. If you have a heat source moving over expanses of water, that water is going to expand and it's going to contract as the heat source moves away. But anyway, I digress. So it's green and we can see it. What you need to do when you're making a spirit level is make sure you don't have any air bubbles. Slip of the tongue, it's actually a water leveling device, not a spirit level. There's any gaps between the liquid through the tube, or else you're going to get an inaccurate reading. And once you have it set up and you hold your pipes up, you'll have perfect level on both ends. Now we can start to put these. So if you notice the diameter of the tube I used, the reason that I used that diameter, I'm not 100% here on the exacting, but I think it's over a half or 3/4 of an inch in diameter. Then you will have no meniscus happening. Meniscus will happen more in a very narrow tube, and also depending on the viscosity of whatever liquids you're using. But in this case, we're just using, you know, water with, you know, vehicle coolant in it. So, you know, various reasons for the width of the tube and, you know, putting the coolant in there. Pegs. And again, this is a tool that can be used. I mean, I'll even read you, you know, the Wikipedia description of a water leveling device, and stating clearly that it's more accurate. Maybe lower tech, but it's more accurate, especially over distance. Now, you could use, I mean, I'm using a 10-metre pipe here for this, but you could use whatever you like. The water will not lie. It will always find that level. And you don't want an air bubble in it, obviously, because you're going to get an inaccurate reading. So you have to make sure you've cleared it of any air bubbles. And align the top with the top of this, and then we'll have every peg at the same elevation, and then when we use the taller pegs at the back, we'll just be using the marker here to show the height of the poles that are in front of it. So what I'm doing now is just need to move that down slightly. I was going to mark it with a pen, but, you know, decided no, you know, we don't need even the pen mark on it. You know, that level will tell us the truth. We've got that watermark perfect. Now I'm going to repeat this all the way up with a few other poles along. I'm just going to get back here just to show you the first. We've got the watermark aligned perfectly with the top. Come all the way along. As you can see on this one, we've got that watermark perfect. Now I'm going to repeat this all the way up with a few other poles
as I say, we'll have some distance for all of them, and the bigger pole we'll put right at the back. So, simple process. Once you've got the watermark on the height at that side, you will find the level there once it settles. Then you know you've got the things at the perfect elevation. So, what you see happening with these devious people is they'll show you this side view. Right, now every one of these poles is at the perfect height from each other. They've been levelled. Okay. So, you're a globe.
This is part of the sophistry, as we'll get to when I show you the footage from some lying, deceptive people. And you know, myself and Gav in particular has touched on this more depth on how they mix up, you know, perspective, real world view of looking at things straight on. And again, these globe proponents will only ever focus on straight on and try and convince you that there's curvature over, you know, idiotic small distances, while we have a view left to right of a greater distances with absolutely no deviation from the level. So what they do is they mix up like a real world tangible diagram. They will show you from side on like an engineering diagram. Like if these were fence posts or lamp posts for a street or whatever, you would have a side view showing you, you know, the sizes of these things and how they are actually the same. But that's not how we see the world, through a lens or through your eyes when you're viewing straight out in front of you. That's different, okay? That's the visible world. The side view is the tangible, okay? That's how we construct and we understand things, anyway.
Opponent will show you sneakily a side view.
Oh, I've already said that.
Right. And in engineering terms, you know, we know the poles are the same elevation, the same height, you know, and that's fine for construction. But
even if you look just now, there's various aspects of this footage, like the fence here and how it narrows and comes down, you know.
What that doesn't take into account is how we actually perceive the world and how optics work. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this pole here, which is twice the height. This pole, which is twice the height. And I'm going to place this at a distance much further away. So, if I start to come down, so at a greater distance than the rest. Now we'll set the other camera up on the tripod and see how that looks. So this is what we're seeing now, with them aligned up perfectly with the heights. Are you recording that, Neil? Right. Not much point in zooming in if I'm alright, come back out. Can you put your crosshair in on in there? Only when come right back out. Oh, can it? You're recording that, so I can start recording with the crosshair. Right, I'll do the zoom in with the crosshair. Right, okay, so the crosshair you can see is right in line with that pole there on the left. And as we zoom in, we're getting a drop.
You can see the gap difference. These are all at the same elevation as each other, perfectly aligned, levelled. But when you zoom in, you're already getting a drop.
Okay. See that clearly? Come back out. So pity we can't record with that crosshair on. You're recording it? Aye, but I don't know if it's picking it up. I don't think. On the bigger screen, you'll see it. Right. I'm just going to zoom in just there again for me with the crosshair. When it's green, it's perfect. Right, okay, right, zoom in now. As you can see when it's just stops up.
Also, you can see the goalposts in the background and what's happening with them.
Well, as you can see, there's a drop in them. Right, now we're going to show what happens when the camera is below the elevation of the first.
And this is important because this is where the deceptive globe gobblers are coming in with their sophistry and trying to convince people of nonsense.
Pole, which is what the deceptive globe people are doing. They're showing you pictures of Mount Everest and Mount Rainieri, you know, further in the background, but what they're doing is they're taking a photograph from below the height of the first point. Now we will see, we'll come to the side here and we will see what happens to the pole in the background in regards to these poles in the foreground. So right now we have perfect level in the camera with the horizon crosshair, but we are below the height of the first one. Now let's see the effect on the far pole and see how much it. You record it, Neil? Where will you do that?
Oh, sure. The horizon, listen to it.
Right, that's fine. So press record, so I need that footage.
This one here at the back is twice the height of these. Okay. Now already you can see the pink tape at the top of that is below these ones, these first three. Also note that the globe, the goal in the background in relation to these in the foreground.
Now we need to angle up a wee bit just to see that other last pole. Now look, straight away you can see the goalposts in the background have dropped. Can you zoom back out a wee touch just so we can identify the last pole?
Yeah.
What's happened to the last pole? As you can see, it is dropping beneath. Okay, so these other ones here in the ground, the foreground.
As you already can see, even with the levelled ones, they already drop due to perspective, straight on view.
Dropping below.
Apparently dropping, so they're not actually dropping.
And it look like they're dropping below, and so does the last pole. Okay, so now what I want to show is that
this is the highest pole right at the back. Now this is what people need to do. This has to intersect the centre of the screen. Okay, when you say you're level with the top of something.
As you can see, those goalposts.
If I set the camera on the top of that, I am no longer level with the top of this because the optical device is sitting above it. So no level with it. In order to be level with something, it must intersect the centre of the lens or the eye. Then you're at the perfect height as the object.
Or disappearing. Okay.
Not only that, you'll notice a flyover here in the background and the relationship to it with the other apparatus poles that we're using, and you can see how much it drops.
The goalposts are much,
but it gets better.
Higher and on higher ground. Well, when we look how they shrink, but yeah, this pole, and I'm going to go up and I'm going to show you the height of this pole next to it. You're going to try that, aren't you? Try and get it perfectly in the middle. And as you can see, we'll go up and I'm going to show you that. Okay. So again, we'll come up to the level of this, get it in the middle of the screen, and look at the other goalposts. Okay, so tilting up, tilting down, getting that right in the middle of the screen. And the goalposts, as you can see the difference in height from one goalpost to the other. And just to be fair, I'm going to get into the other goals. And I'm going to show the exact same thing again. Okay. So you can,
and again already, you've got the Glenifer Braes here in the background. These trees, these poles, you know, the hedgerow here, the other trees appear to be much higher. Now, as I will point out, from the place I'm standing, and I will show this once I stop screen sharing, from this point to that point, you're talking maybe 5 miles. And when I show the opposite end, you know, I'm being generous by giving it 8 miles. And we're then looking at the Old Kilpatrick Hills, and we'll get the elevation of those. So my distance to them would only be a generous 8 miles. Now, you would have to be suggesting that the Earth is curving at such a rate that the Old Kilpatrick Hills over a space of 8 miles are dropping over 600 or 700 feet, which is absolutely preposterous. We'll get to that. Oh, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Thank you. All right. Cool.
see how much things decrease in their appearance when we have an actual perspective view of things and not a side-on engineering view. Okay, we're dealing with real world perspective here. Right. So middle of the screen. So you kind of level you. You see these goals here in front of you, is that right?
No, that's the goal right here.
Right.
And I was in it and the back at the back.
Right, so look how much is dropping. You're actually pointing up the way there.
Aye, that was me, actually.
Right, so level yourself. Right.
Close to the level.
Draw back. Can you draw back now?
We'll put the forehead at it.
Okay, you see how it goes below.
Yep,
right.
As it's zooming backwards, you see the goals actually look as if they're dropping.
Looking straight at that perspective yet again. Goalposts are at the exact same height. Zoom in again, Neil. Okay, see the difference? Back out. Look as it shrinks. Go.
Look, now the bar is now almost in line perfectly with the crosshair as you pull backwards.
Goes below it. Okay. Right, I'm going to go to the other goals now just to show the same effect happening both ways. And again.
So here in the background, the Old Kilpatrick Hills, as I say, there's a distance, and we'll show the distance and the elevation of these peaks here, and how preposterous it would be for you to suggest that over a short distance of a generous 8 miles, that there's a curvature drop of over 600 feet or 600 meters.
Halfway, you can see what's actually happening in regards to perspective yet again. So you're going to...
This is us again looking at the other goals we were up here a minute ago. And where this camera is there actually a wee slope down here. So we're actually a bit lower at this point.
We're just getting the leveler set up. Well, as we can see, you can see the goals in the foreground. And the difference from the goals in the background. So I'll let you just record that and pan that in and out. As you can see, we're much below. Okay, you're quite you're off to the other side there, Neil. One more straight on. There we go. Right.
Flags almost out of view and the goals disappeared though.
Yep.
So again, you can see the point here of the pole, which is much lower than the goals. And because we're at a lower elevation than that, it's even more pronounced, the drop. Even these poles, the Old Kilpatrick Hills in the background, well below.
The road is much higher than everything else.
Appear to be higher, much higher, and the motorway and the campsies in the background. You can see the campsies following.
That's the Kilpatrick, Old Kilpatrick's.
Oh, the campsies are the right. So it's the Old Kilpatrick's. Right, excellent. So we just need to understand that over distance things will drop. Okay, not because of curvature, because of how we see the world. Right? The side-on views are fine for engineering and construction, real world, tangible stuffs. But you can't do that when we're dealing with perspective, because that's not how the observed world looks to either a camera or an eye. Okay? So these globe proponents and their deceptive ways of just taking snapshot images, right? It's just no good enough. We know you're lying. Cheers, Neil. And we can see it there with the goalposts on the far side.
So even just without any of that, you can see how even this and how it looks as if it's dropping. Okay.
Okay, so there's no curvature here on the earth here. Right? None. Now again, the campsies there, or the Old Kilpatricks that you can see there in the background. There's only like, how many miles would you say between us and there, Neil? About 6 miles? So does anybody think that there's that much curvature over 6, 7 miles? Okay, it's absolutely preposterous. Now these Old Kilpatrick hills, we'll see the elevation of them. Again, you can see even these poles in the foreground. I'm need to be generous. There's going to be no, it can't be because the pole's sitting below. So as you can comparison to the goal.
I think these are just repeats. I think when I uploaded it, I was just putting repeats on, but we'll just get through some of it again quick.
Come up. Into the other. Difference. Maybe because the pole's sitting. This is what we're seeing now, with them aligned up perfectly with the heights. Are you recording that, Neil?
You can see the difference.
Right.
Every one of these is level
Can you put it across here?
to each other.
The angle up. You can see.
Again, this is a dropped side we've lowered down. You can see the effect, you know, already here with this one. It's much higher than the far pole, which is twice the height. This one at the back is 2 of these interlocked and pushed further away. Again, there's a clearer picture of it. And even that one that's furthest away is still sitting above the height of the goals, which is away up in the background. And here, this one looks as if it's at heights with the flyover here. Okay, so you can see the apparent drop. Again, from the other side. Again, note these much higher than that. But even when we're level, you're still getting an apparent drop, a reducement of the size, the apparent size of the objects the further they go into the distance. It's just a fundamental fact of everybody's reality.
No, the deceptions that these guys are showing you, and I'll show you guys like Conspiracy Cats and the deceptive tactics they're using.
These are just wee shots of. That's me actually recording it, Neil just showing where I'm at.
I'm not straight on. Fall on the back.
So, anyway, you get the point. So, anybody?
Hey, Dale.
Oh, Gav, how you doing?
Good, my man.
Just going to say, quite encourage everybody to test these things for yourself and no believe people. Anyway, so before we get to the deception, I'm just hello, Gav.
Yes, hello, Dale.
You all right?
I can't complain.
Nice one.
Being out doing good stuff again, I see. Well done, man. And your willing helpers, good for them.
Did you get a wee look at any of it?
I didn't actually. No, I just joined. So
yeah, what I was basically showing was a few things. First and foremost, how a water leveling device works and how it's a useful tool for anybody that wants to level anything.
And if you want to do accurate observations, then you always need to level your instruments.
Yeah, exactly. So again, just proving the point of how a liquid behaves, and it will always find that level. And any same body of water as you see in the tube, regardless of how far I take one end of it, it's always going to settle with the 2 points at equal elevation. Always. If I lift one end up, the water's going to come up higher out of this end. So it'll always balance and be equal, regardless of the distance that you're taking it.
Yep, and I'd like to see anybody disprove that, since it works wonderfully in the world of construction for thousands of years.
Yeah, it won't work, as I say, if people have air bubbles within the tube. You need to stipulate that strongly, that you must remove all air. Make sure you get rid of the air from the tube, or you're going to get an inaccurate reading, obviously, So the purpose to all that is what I'm going to show you right now, and I'm sure, Gav, you will want to pipe in with us as well. You'll see the deception that's going on here, clear and obvious. Again, these idiots with their fucking cherry-picked images. You have real people who are getting out into the practical world and demonstrating how things actually are in the real world. Real science, not just idiots with whiteboards talking garbage, flashing images at you like fucking lunatic cult zealots.
Right, and drawing arbitrary red lines. They love their arbitrary red lines.
This arbitrary eye levels and stuff being shown here. It's fucking incredible. These people have fucking no shame. So, fair use, educational purposes, public criticisms and all that stuff. So already we can see here that Baldy Scalper here, I'm pretty sure the bodies of these guitars are much higher than Baldy Arse's Napper here, but they appear to be lower because the camera is below them angling upwards.
The key point being the elevation of the camera. Yeah.
Now, every now and then, the gods smile on you. Somebody I follow on Twitter sent me a photograph which literally kills flat Earth dead.
Shut up, you lying, deceptive little torag.
I'd just really like, once again, Dale, to reiterate the point that a partial perception does not trump a physical fact.
No. Again, just demonstrated in the real world the substance known as water, and it's definite behaviour. So that does not get trumped by morons and liars like this clown showing you a bloody picture.
There is no argument. There's no rebuttal. There's no perspective argument. There's literally...
There is. We deal with perspective every single day, you utter clown.
No argument whatsoever that will stop this photograph.
So let's just have a wee look here then. So here,
St. Helens and Rainer, is it? Mount Rainer, is that?
I'm saying Everest, fucking like a right idiot. Anyway, so again, look, we've got a purple line, the words here saying eye level, right? Does that look as if we're level? If this camera was level, that would be right in the center of the image, okay?
So either the image has been cropped,
Yep.
or it's angled up the way.
Yep. And again, they're showing something which is 104 miles, which is double the distance to this one. And again, I've shown in real world recreated experiment what actually happens over distance. So remember, this is double the distance to this apparent observer, and it's the same distance to that again in the background. So we see how things appear to reduce.
Right, absolutely. It's appearances, right? It's the angle subtended at the eye. That's the meaning of the word appear, right? Mathematically speaking.
Yeah.
And one thing there, so these two mountains are not directly behind each other. So one of them is obliquely off to the left, right, of the other mountain.
Yeah.
And perspective plays a role at any distances, whether it's going away from you, but also going to the left and to the right. Huh?
Yeah.
So,
and you know that he's always going to be below the highest peak here, because there's nothing across for that that's going to be sitting at 6,505 feet. So you know he's below the top of this. Okay? And then he's just
he says as much, right? He says his elevation is what? 1075, is that right? Picture
elevation 1075 feet. Yeah. So, you know, 5,000, nearly 5,000 feet below the peak.
Yep. Again, they seem to have this idea that just because they can show a visible image, right, and manipulate what they perceive to be the correct definitions of perspective, that they can actually get away with proving that there is a curve. I mean, it's so fucking preposterous to hell.
But this is the thing, that they leave out their mathematics for their globe. As I pointed out in my video, the Okopatrick Hills that I'm giving it a generous 8 miles away. Now you'd have to be suggesting a huge amount of curvature over that distance for them to be as low as they appear to be. You know, so there's loads of aspects here that they're just fluffing over and getting caught out, as we will continue to point at. So I'm just going to play through this till he gets to his bit that I know you're going to enjoy, Gav. You can pipe in.
Destroying flat Earth. Let's take another look.
Well, let's take another look at your idiotic picture, son. It's just an idiotic image.
Twice as big, over twice as big as Mount St. Helens, being dwarfed by Mount St. Helens. Totally impossible on a flat Earth.
No, it's not. No, it's not impossible. I've just shown you how that happens, okay? Even when you're level and all the things that we're looking at are level, they still appear to drop below that central point.
Yep. And I mean, again, noticeable is his appeal to emotion and words like totally impossible, like wow, like this can't, you know, as if the way he says things is actually going to lend any, you know, credence to natural phenomena. You know, natural phenomena doesn't give a fuck about his words and his rhetoric or his emotional appeal, right?
You've got to remember, he's emotionally appealing to emotionally unhinged and people who operate from emotion, because he's appealing to cult members and he wants to keep them within the cult. So that's the tactics he has to use. He can't be objectively honest, because then his cult members would start to be questioning what's actually going on. So what he offers is a biased confirmation and try and keep them exactly where they are.
Yeah, and he's got to keep all these idiots close to him, Fight the flat earth! Fight the flat earth!
Fucking painful. Fight the flat earth! Fight the flat earth! Right, let's see here.
Bit of maths and we'll have a refresher of trigonometry. And then I'm going to send this out to all the flat earthers I know, to all the globe earthers I know.
Don't need to send it to me, son.
Going around this.
I never got the message, Kojak. What happened?
I never got it either. He's Kojak, the other one's Penfold. No, we never received your fucking idiot emails, Sonny Boy. What was that about?
Well, those
Maybe.
are ludicrous.
Sorry, Gav. What? Oh, shit.
We're going to prove the ludicrous. So with the help of the person who sent me this photograph, I think this could literally end the discussion.
Loves to discussion now. Yeah.
Well, at least that's a fucking start. If the idiot would actually have a discussion instead of pretending this is some kind of fight or debate, you know?
Exactly.
Him and all these clown friends.
Exactly.
Fight the flat earth. Fight the flat Sorry, on you go.
All right.
There we go, Gav. I'll let you...
Again, we're showing a side-on view now, and we're going to invoke tangible geometry, although we're talking about visible phenomena.
Yep.
Well, there would just happen to be a big difference between the way we see things visually, right? It's a different geometry that needs to be applied to it, namely those of curved surfaces, as in your retina, as in the curvature of a lens, right?
Yep.
And not tangible geometry or the geometry of construction. So just because you can swap those two round and then play with words does not equate to reality. I'm sorry, Kojak. I don't know how many times we need to repeat this, right?
Yep.
But well, we'll keep doing it until everybody gets it.
Yeah, you can keep trying to lie and deceive people all you likes, but honest people are not going to put up with it.
See what we're looking at here. That triangle represents the location of the observer. We know the observer height. Now, all of the numbers on this picture, we can prove without a shadow of a doubt. So
we can prove without a shadow of a doubt. Hold on, I mean, I'm actually maybe even going to lend credence to the fact that, yes, let's take it for granted that they're honest, right? But I'm not entirely sure of that, because every single experiment they show doesn't do it very professionally, right?
Oh, is it an experiment? Taking a photograph? I wouldn't call that.
It's not observation, yeah. I retract that, yeah.
Yeah.
To be, please prove these numbers. We know that the height of Mount St. Helens, you can see that on the screen. We know the height of Mount Rainier. These are all in meters. We know the distance to St. Helens, and that's the 86,900. Use that flat line to remove the bottom 327 meters from Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens, leaving me with the...
See, he's getting all complex here, still deceiving people by using this side view and no accounting for perspective, as I've just shown in the real world. So I don't know if there's much we need to say about it, Gav. It was just pretty much to show the image.
What does he do, Cad? Does he try and calculate the angles, or
I don't know. Play it and let's see.
Just flip through it briefly. Just jump ahead.
Now that leaves us with this
think,
yeah. And right now, all I want to work out is the angular size of Mount St. Helens from the top down to the eye level of the observer. And we can calculate that angular size because...
On a side perspective view?
No.
That doesn't account for your real world view and how you actually see it straight on.
No, so it does not.
What are you talking about, son?
Let's let him go.
Right.
Two lengths here. And we also know that the tan of the angle equals the opposite divided by the adjacent. So a little bit of simple trigonometry allows you to figure out this.
Again, this is just another example of maths being used as a deception.
Well, he actually doesn't even need to use it. You know, if he was thinking about it, the fact that these are similar triangles, that's what he's going to build up. You know, the two similar triangles that are there. He doesn't even need to invoke tan, because he's probably just going to invoke the inverse of tan at the end to get to measure the distance that Mount Rainer's supposed to be above it, right? That's always the argument. So, but anyway, let him continue. The ratios of similar triangles would have been enough. And as we know, Dale, things only scale properly on a plane, right? Yeah. They don't scale very well on a sphere.
Exactly. And again,
congruity.
Again, that's it.
That's that this angle here is about 1.09 degrees.
Yeah, get on with it, Kojak.
And I know the adjacent.
Sorry, mate.
No, I'm just saying, get on with it, Kojak. Yep. Move.
Is the distance to Mount Rainier. I can figure out the opposite, which would be this bit. Now that bit there represents the opposite of the triangle, which will be the tan of 1.09 degrees times that distance, which is the adjacent. And what that tells us is that that part in that red circle there should be, well, it should be this. It should be about 3,187 meters. This is the height that should have been obscured above eye level if the Earth was flat.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah. Aye, on your tangible side view.
Well, it means if you've been following along with a calculator, like I know literally none of you will have been, we should, on a flat Earth, of Mount Rainier above Mount St. Helens at those distances. So this argument here incorporates the angular size.
That'll do.
It's an argument, but it's sophistry, you baldy prick. Okay, again, rumbled, you little dishonest creep. Now, the concerning thing about this idiot here is that he professes to be teaching children. Would you really want a lying piece of shit, low-life scumbag like that teaching your children blatant fucking lies and misrepresentations? Or something needs to be done about this fucking clown if he's still in a school.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, It's just a typically, I mean, he's just one of a bunch of many, Dale, you know. I mean, a lot of these other teachers are at least not out trying to propagate a globe cult religion, right? They might just even be, how should I say, deluded as we all are, continuing to try to do their job as best they think they are, But this clown is actually on the internet trying to promote a globe cult religion and keep everybody in it, And that's what I don't like about the man.
No. He's been openly deceptive, you know.
Absolutely.
Perspective, which I know a lot of flat earthers like to.
Perspective's a real world thing, you utter fucking buffoon. Okay?
And it just ends the argument.
No, it doesn't. You're just a wee fud, son. It's not going to end anything. You will be ended. Any parents that know this fucking guy should be having real concerns about letting their children anywhere fucking near him.
That one photograph there is no flat earth. Gone. This photograph.
What a prick. What an absolute fucking buffoon, little prick weasel he is. And I'm not going to make any apologies for it, people. The guy is a fucking deceptive piece of shit.
Is only possible on a globe.
Oh, yeah. Again, the use of words to try and sway us, you know, as if he's come with some great big secret, you know, some wonderful, you know, absolutely amazing proof, you know, and it's all just, you know, the way he's trying to appeal to the emotion and the words and the NLP is just, it's so blatant.
All he does is sit in his wee fucking dirty echo chamber with his wee fucking kiddie toys, right? Playing shitey guitar and fucking waffling garbage and flashing whiteboards and fucking random pictures that he's taken from the interwebs and trying to pass it off as fucking science. It is science, pure pseudoscience and sophistry. And that's what this guy's got. Same as the rest of them. It's not a fucking globe.
Absolutely. Dale, if you'll allow me just to screen share, I did want to say something as well.
Okay, cool.
Well, unless you wanted to show more of that clown.
No, I'm just, once you've done, I'm going to show exactly where I was this afternoon, and I'm going to show the distances to both the Glenifer Braes and the Old Kilpatrick Hills, just to show the point and how preposterous it would be that you would have that much curvature on the globe Earth that they claim and its professed circumference.
Good night, darling. Sorry, just my little one going to bed.
All right, okay, cool. All right, on you go, mate.
So, Dale, what I want to do is thank you for the fact that you're going out making these observations and doing hard work there to make this clear to everybody. And what I'd also like to show is just the difference between the real science that comes from flat earthers, right? And the absolute, you know, sophist nonsense that comes from the globe gobblers and their images, right? So I'd quite like you to link this paper again into this video, right? It's a 31-page paper on how perspective works for anybody that's interested, right? And it shows through a lot of geometrical constructions exactly the way perspective and vision works and what the pitfalls are of things, right?
Yeah.
You know, just to take this one example, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to look at the size of this object here, right?
Yeah.
Then still the appearance to it of the eye will be this curved arc, the length of this curved arc.
Yeah.
And you will not be able to tell the difference between this line and this line, right? They're both going to give you the same appearance to the eye, the same angle subtended, right?
Yeah.
So you cannot judge which object is further away or which object has a larger size, right? And this paper includes geometrical proofs of each one of these things, right?
Yeah.
I'd just like to highlight a few of them. I'm not going to bore people by going through this paper, but this is what I would say real research is still. You out doing observational field studies. I'm trying hard to put this into mathematical terms that anybody can understand, right? And that's what real research looks like, not showing fucking pictures on the screen and making statements of sophistry, right? I'm just going to dive down to something here at the bottom, which is important. I said this a minute ago. When things, so this is the axis of the eye, right down at the bottom here, right? Looking at this object. And you will see that the curve here is pretty much approximate to the straight line here, right? But as things deviate to the left from you and to the right of you, then this appearance, the appearance here, the curve, is going to deviate from the representation, right?
Yep.
So again, people need to be aware of many things in perspective, right? That make a difference to, you know, how we see and how we explain these things, and not just, you know, throwing a picture up, showing a tangible construction and drawing arbitrary red lines. Sorry, Globers, that's not the way it works. There's people out here doing real science, right?
Yeah.
Okay. One other thing I'd just like to say is I'm going to be releasing a paper on perspective pretty soon, right? That defines perspective in terms of latitude and longitude, right? So that people can also see how perspective ties into this whole idea of latitude and longitude on a sphere, right?
Yeah.
So once I'm finished with this paper, I'm just proofreading it all. Again, it has lots of diagrams and explanations of how the whole thing works. Everything's been modeled geometrically, and hopefully that'll put a complete end to any person out there who thinks that flat earthers don't do their research properly, right? So as soon as that one's finished, I'd be great if you could link that as well. Yeah.
Of course, mate.
But that's all I really wanted to say, just to show the difference between real research and observational field studies and a lot of pish told by sophists. Yeah.
You want to stop that real science stuff, Gav. We need to start just showing fucking pictures and just making crap up.
Just making any old claim, eh?
As well, just be a cult the same as them. Yeah.
No, fuck that.
Morons. So anyway, what I'm going to do now, quick, is I'm going to...
And by the way, Dale, sorry, once you've linked that paper in there, you know, I will challenge Kojak and was it Penfold? Fight the flat earth, fight, and any of the rest of these clowns to tell me exactly in that paper where any of the theorems or corollaries are wrong. If you could provide me a mathematical rebuttal of what we have done there, then that would be excellent.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge to all these fucking wanks out there.
Exactly. Right, give me 2 seconds here. No, let me second. Right, so what I'm going to show now is I'm just going to show exactly where I was, just to make these points again. So this here was the St James's playing fields. Anybody can check that out. That's obviously where I am. It's just around the corner from me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out and I'm going to show you the distance across to the old Kilpatrick Hills here, which we were viewing. So I'm going to get a... Oh, how do I get rid of that again? Hide. Right, measure distance. Fuck, where am I now? Right here. Ah, for fuck's sake.
Is that map spinning away from you at 1,000 miles an hour there?
Aye. Been Coriolis. I'm just trying to find the Erskine Bridge. Aye, so we're looking right up to here, the old Kilpatricks. So distance. As you can see, I was being generous saying 8 miles. Okay, as you can see there, it's only less than 5 miles to there. So let's now, I'm going to stop screen sharing. How do I do that again? Shit. How do I do that without that being seen?
Sorry, how do you mean?
I just want to stop sharing, but stop sharing. Okay, so now I need to get an elevation finder. Elevation finder UQ. Let me just find this and I'll screen share in a wee second just to show that I'm at the right place. Just bear with me, people. So we're looking at different from 900 feet, 400 feet, 300 feet, 515 feet, 1,000 feet. Some of these peaks are at. So it's ranging from 1,000 feet. Anybody can check that if they want. So again, you know, you would have to be suggesting that over less than 5 miles, you're getting a drop of like 700, 800, 900 feet. How fucking small is this globe?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things they always ignore in all these images they show too. They're actually already showing things that, you know, don't add up, you know. Even according to their own curve calculator, certain of these things shouldn't be seen. So, exactly. I mean, not necessarily in the one that we just showed there, but, you know, I've seen other ones where they do the same obfuscation, you know.
Yeah, and again, they'll not show you that over those distances and the amount of drop because it wouldn't match with our curve calculators either. So they'll leave that out. You know, it's not like they're saying, oh, look, it's dropped this much and that matches perfectly with my curve calculator. It's bullshit. You know, as I've just shown, you know, anybody can check it out, the locations and where I was looking to. You can check the elevation of the old Kilpatricks and see that it ranges from 1,000 feet, maybe higher points, right down. Okay, so over 5 miles, we're getting a drop of, you know, over 2/3 of the height.
Yep. As soon as I've got a little bit of time, I'm going to be turning my attention to Mr. Bislin's curve calculator.
Yeah.
Because, you know, as we all know, the physical reality of this world tells us, water, without any shadow of a doubt, that we are not on a ball.
Yeah.
So that leaves me with only one conclusion, that Mr. Bislin's curve calculator is full of shit and that it must have faulty assumptions in the calculations that he's doing. So I'm going to take some pleasure as soon as I have some time and rip that man a new asshole as well.
Good, good. So, shown clearly again here this evening what actually happens in the real world in regards to, you know, optical phenomena, observing things straight on. You know? And again, what I want to point out is these people will continue to tell you, so over 5 miles, you know, in their world, we're getting drops of 900 fucking feet, 800 feet, you know, but yet we can see distances on coastlines, you know, in particular, I can pinpoint one with 30 mile between them. There is no deviation from one point to the other. So why are they always focusing on the straight out observations? It's because they need it to invoke their sophistry and try and deceive people into nonsense.
That's exactly correct, Del. It's the fact that direct vision, the way we view things at the inside of a spherical surface of which our eye is the center, but when we turn our eye to look at things, then we're looking at things straight on, right? So the deception that the fact that there's actually a curve in our retina is not noticeable to us, and they'll play on exactly those things. That's why they need the direct observations. And anything else they will try and not attribute to perspective, but they will try and attribute it to the curve of the earth. That's their basic mantra.
Exactly.
And it's preposterous because the physical substances tell us otherwise.
Exactly. And again, you know, just to, I want to keep hammering this. Look at the distances they're purporting to be looking over and the amount of drop that's happening. Yet you can see these things on a side-to-side view, and there is no deviation. I challenge anybody to go to any coastline, identify 2 land masses with a separation between them. You can do it here on the west coast if you go to Ardrossan or Girvan or Irvine or Ayr, where you can see the distance between 2 land masses in front of you, and it's like 30 miles roughly. So you've got hundreds of feet which should deviate from one to the other. And I challenge anybody, you put a straight edge up to that horizontal line, the horizon, and there will be no deviation. So they just want to invoke things when it suits them, rubbish things when it doesn't suit them. They're just a religious bias cherry picking in order to try and keep people under the spell of their deception. And it's not going to work anymore.
No, these days are over, and they can shout and scream all they like, and they can even roll out any more of these new globe detectives like Kojak and Penfold. You know? They can roll out as many of them as they want. It won't change nature one little bit. Yeah.
No.
They can try and cherry pick their images. They can smooth talk us with words like a serpent's tongue. But Dale, the people have woken up to it. And even if they want to now start a fight the flat earth, then, you know, they're on to buns, because, you know, I've got no issue with any of these people. At some point, they're going to crumble and they're going to come to the table for a discussion and not pretend that this is a debate or a fight. And that day is going to happen. When these wanks are cleared out to the side and real academics start to come forward, right, then that whole situation is going to change, because they're not all like these, you know, fucking sycophants, right?
No, that's it. And again, these people are just wheeled out to try and, you know, keep the gullible under the hypnotic trance. And because people are in that spell, again, you're dealing with people's egos. Guys like Conspiracy Cats are going to appeal to their bias, you know, and represent them as a strong force, because it is a bias for them. You know, they're not being objectively honest. They're not interested in real objective science and actually having a discussion to try and figure out what's actually going on and where we actually are. These people are blatantly obvious in their attempts to try and maintain a particular narrative.
Yeah, and I mean, and what I see too, Dale, is, you know, the fact that a lot of people have got this, you know, basic idea now in their head, this basic clarity, let's call it, that the physical world is actually going to show them the truth, right? And substances will point to the real nature of the things. What all they have left is to try and appeal to this emotional side of people, because not only were we all trapped in this deception of not looking at the natural world, we've also been trapped in this selfish, egocentric, you know, emotional mind virus, right? And people who maybe have now got the fact that they need to look at nature more closely than they ever did, attend to reality, are still sometimes trapped in this emotional part, right? Where they're doing things to soothe their ego, to look the best, or to be, I don't know what they want to do. I don't really care. But that's what these globe gobblers are using, right? So they're making it into wee competitions, dumb fuck of the year. I mean, it's like these mindless fucking TV shows, right, that you get in television that they're now trying to perpetuate, because that's all they have left, is to appeal to the emotional weaknesses of people, right? And even those people who are starting to attend to reality properly are getting sucked back in through this emotional bullshit, right? Do you know what I mean?
Aye, of course. I mean, I pointed at this a long time ago, that, you know, how to recognise who the players are. You know, as soon as we enter into the realms of emotional-based proofsies and arguments, you know you're dealing with deception. You know, this is not a personal thing. We shouldn't be focusing on people's characters, their skin colour, their hairdo, any of that stuff. All right, we have a wee rub now and again, and I'm guilty of it, but I don't use that to try and sway people on an emotional level to believe my crap. Right, because all I'm offering is objective truth, objective facts. That's what we're interested in. So you can see it clearly. Look at the globe proponents. They sit in echo chambers, just as Gav said. You know, dumb fuck of the year, and sitting bitching and whining and slagging people without offering any real science. So you can see where the problem's happening. People like us want a real discussion, real scientific investigation, and find out and establish exactly what it is, because we don't have a bias. We came from the cult. We were ignorant and believed implicitly what we were told and never addressed it. When we did address it, we were intellectually honest enough to remove the faulty beliefs and start accepting reality for what it is. We don't have all the answers, but we're determined and willing to have a progression, to have a further understanding. And that's what real science is about. As soon as you start dealing with people who are making hit piece videos and focusing on every other aspect, other than actual real tangible real world stuff, we've got an issue. Now have a look at that. That will tell you everything you need to know about who's who. Exactly,
Dale. Yeah, I mean, they sit and snigger like little girls. Nothing against girls here, by the way, but it just looks like wee bitchy circles of you know laughing at people. There's nothing behind that, right? That just shows the emptiness of their arguments, right? Yep. And making good observational field studies the way you've done, or what I'm trying to do, deconstruct the mathematical, you know, Heiligtum, you know, what they're trying to portray here as the wonderful fucking science, you know, then when you actually strip it back to its basics and you look at the geometry, which is as close as you can get mathematically to anything practical, right? And then it's a different world, right? Showing visibles and talking shite, or doing real world observations and trying to get to the bottom of things using geometric construction. Yeah. That is the difference between this platform and all these other wankers out there.
Yeah, exactly. So again, you know, and things that we're doing, people can recreate these and encourage it, because then you will have a real knowing. You don't have to listen to me or anybody else swaying you in any direction. You should never be in that mindset anyway. You should always be willing to get up and verify and falsify things for yourself. Then you'll get to a real understanding. Okay? So
absolutely, man.
Again, you know, real world, again, showing clearly without deception what I was actually doing. And then again, you can see with these people a cherry-picked image and then misrepresenting with their side views, trying to pass that off as a real representation of an observed phenomena. And that's not how we observe the world. No optical device observes from a side view.
Yep. The geometry of visible space and the geometry of physical space are two different things, right? And you cannot confound or confute the two when you're trying to argue, and anybody doing it deliberately is a wank, and anybody doing it unintentionally or innocently at the moment needs to better discern the difference between the two and correct his argumentation.
Yeah. And again, you encourage these people, if they're on the fence and, you know, they're having doubts, don't just be swayed by people. You recreate these things for yourself as well. Don't be scared. You know, again, we had to break the bias. I desperately wanted to prove to myself it was a glow, but I wanted it to be true. And I had to break through that emotional, you know, unsteadiness, that unsureness, and just go with what the facts were showing me. Then that way things become crystal clear and it starts to become apparent who's pushing bullshit and who's being honest. So,
we're
not interested in echo chambers, cult mentalities. This is about objectivity, about the real world, impersonal, unemotional, just what it is, and trying to establish exactly what it is through perseverance and real world, you know, tangible endeavours. Okay?
And Dale, there's one other thing that I always need to point out. They always try to portray yourself as being some kind of rage monster, right? And nothing could be further from the truth, right? Exactly. I've met you multiple times personally, right? And you're a well-mannered, you know, amiable, nice, likable big fellow, right? Yeah. And anybody that comes to this platform that doesn't come with sophistry or fallacious arguments intentionally will always be treated with respect. And, you know, again, I can only say, you know, I'll be here, or I hope I'll be here on the platform anytime. And if somebody wants to come and talk about any of these topics, then come reasonably, come sensibly, and come and have a reasonable discussion. But don't sit in wee chambers, pointing fingers and trying to emotionally manipulate people, right?
Yeah, that's exactly. Again, the proof's in the walk. We don't sit and try any of that shit. You know, none of us here represents any of that. It's these people. So that tells you a lot about who they actually are and what their intent actually is, you know?
Yep.
So, as Gav said, we just want the discussion openly. These people are trying to stop that from happening by putting people into camps and putting up a fence and creating a dichotomy of us against them. Again, objectivity, real science is not personal. It's not about whose team you're on. You should be on the team of objectivity. That's
truth. Truth. Yep. For the love of the truth.
Exactly.
That's what people should be doing this for, and there's no other fucking reason.
Yeah.
Because I don't give a shit. You know, Dale, I mean, I don't talk much about where I've been or where I've come from, but, you know, nothing else matters, right? I've made $1 million, I've lost $1 million, I've had my ups and downs in my life, and none of it means a fucking shit to me apart from finding out the truth of where I am. Nothing is more important to me. And if these people think that they're going to, with any of this nonsense that they do online, dissuade me from doing that, they've got another thing coming.
Exactly, mate. Exactly.
Right? All they use, cunts.
That's it. They just fuel determination, you know?
Yeah, so, that's all it does. Just makes me stronger.
It should be apparent to people that there is a definite biased agenda to try and subdue and subvert and detract from this whole thing and turn it into an absolute nonsense. But, you know, real people will keep endeavouring and pushing forward, and it's not going to go away. You know, as Gav said earlier, the sooner we get rid of these fucking morons and get to the real discussion, the better. Then we can put it to bed once and for all. And again, I appeal to them, as I always have done. Stop creating a divide. Stop creating a fence. People are asking questions. They're entitled to ask questions. Real science, the endeavour to find out our objective world and what it started off with, should be maintained. Okay, no kept in the dark, locked away, people being ridiculed, you know, little manipulative games being played. You're now no longer representing real objective science and endeavours. You're representing a religion, and we can see it clear as fucking day. So as I will just reiterate what Gav says, we're always here. Anybody who comes with manners and respect and the right approach will be welcomed and treated as such. If you come in like a little cult zealot with, you know, presuppositions, assumptions, trying to attach straw men and all sorts of fallacious nonsense to me, I have a very low fuse, a short fuse for it. Zero tolerance. You're going to get the fuck you side of me, because I'm not putting up with deceptive bullshitters.
Yep, spot on, Phil. And on that note, I will have to leave, my man, but it has been a pleasure once again.
Appreciated, mate. Appreciated, as always, bud.
I'll see you soon. I will speak tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching, and see you all soon.
Take care, mate. I'm just going to come to the chat box, see what people are saying about this stuff. Cheers, Pat Mustard. No, Stephen Watson, there'll be a new shed coming in the near future. So I'm not going to waste time trying to tap up the old box. The Mecca will be deconstructed. You can all come and do laps through it before it gets dismantled if you want. Take pictures of it and all that for the history books, remember? Cheers, TP. Nice one. Much appreciated, everybody. So I take it nobody's got any questions or anything they want to raise in regards to what's been shown and discussed here. I'll give it a wee minute just to see if anybody's got anything to say. The shed actually isn't level. Shut up, UK Pie, you little cherry-picking globe cult disciple zealot. Fuck right off, son. You're just another dishonest little fucking cretin. Away you fucking go and do your observations with your optical device and misrepresent it, you little prick. Zero tolerance for yous. It's been shown to you. Real science about what actually happens in the real world. Now, let's go, you go and fucking show something. FUD. They're always below or above and funny angles. They're always at it. Happy Mushroom. Cheers, Neil. Happy Mushroom there in the chat box is my friend who helped me this afternoon. Cheers, Dave Finkel. Not Disney, Stephen Watson. You're just jealous of my GSX 1400. You couldn't handle it. Would rip your arms right out of the sockets. Say whatever you want, but don't diss the bike, son. No, I don't sell t-shirts. Melted Beetle. You can go and take the image Beyond Imaginary Curve, get it printed on your t-shirt if that's what floats your boat. I'll not be selling any products here. Right. Take it easy, people. Much appreciated. Mods, as always, thank you very much. See you very soon.